Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dark Souls 2. In the last video we got the Heed Knight Sword from killing the first white knight found in the Forest of the Fallen Giants. And then we made our way to the second bonfire, which is the Cardinal Tower bonfire. Alright, so at the end of the last episode I highly suggest to train and farm as many souls as possible in the Forest of the Fallen Giants. Now, the goal is to at least have 10,000, 11,000 souls. So as you can see, I did a bunch of farming, and I got up to 20,000 souls by killing all the enemies in the area so that they don't respawn, except for a few areas that we have yet to explore. All along the way I managed to get some new equipment, such as the Hollow Soldier Helm and the Hollow Soldier Armor, as well as the Hollow Soldier Gauntlets. So you can get these guys from killing the Hollow Soldiers within the Forest of the Fallen Giants, and that's what I'm wearing now. It offers slightly more protection than the Hollow Infantry Armor. Alright, so you may be wondering why we've been saving up all of these souls. Well, it's very simple. To the left you'll find the Merchant Hag Melentina next to the Cardinal Bonfire in the Forest of the Fallen Giants.
And you?
If you talk to her, you can choose to buy items from her, and she has some very hefty items. Now, the key is to spend over 10,000 souls in her shop. Now, spending over 10,000 souls in her shop will allow you to get the Silver Covetous Ring +1. What this item does is it gives you 20% more souls from any enemy you kill. So it's going to be a very handy ring to equip, and you can get it very early in the game, as long as you're willing to do a little bit of soul farming. So hopefully you have at least 10,000 souls now, and you can spend them in her shop. So the first thing I would recommend to buy is the Leningrass key. Now this will open the Blacksmith Leningrass shop back in Majula. Remember that blacksmith that was stuck outside and needed to get the key to get inside his shop so that he can start smithing your weapons? Well, here's the key. It can be purchased from Merchant Hag Melentina for 1,000 souls. So go ahead and buy this. Also, you can find a Pharaoh's Lockstone, or you can buy a Pharaoh's Lockstone for 4,000 souls. Now, you may be thinking that's quite expensive, but these are actually very useful, because it will allow you to use Pharaoh's contraptions, which are found all throughout the game. There's more than one, and you need one Pharaoh's Lockstone to use each one, so you're going to need a bunch of these, but you can only buy one here now. And it's very useful because we're going to be using it on a Pharaoh's contraption here in the Forest of the Fallen Giants for some very good loot. So I would highly suggest to grab that. And the last thing we should grab is the human effigies. Now, you don't really have to grab these if you don't want to, but I would highly suggest to do so, especially if you don't have very many. For example, I only have 2, so I'm going to buy all 5 of them for 7,500 souls. And if you want, you can buy some amber herbs, life gems, witching urns, throwing knives. But more importantly, you can buy the sorcery spell Soul Arrow. So if you're planning on using any type of magic in the game, such as sorcery, I would highly suggest to buy the Soul Arrow here for 1,500. Alright, so now that we've done that, we've spent quite a bit of souls. You can also buy the Heal Miracle if you're planning on using miracles. But I'm going to postpone on that for a little while. And if you have the extra souls to burn, you can buy the Traveling Merchant Hat. Now what this does is it raises the item discovery rate. So if you're trying to get a certain item from somebody and you just can't seem to get it to drop, having the Traveling Merchant Hat in your inventory and having it equipped will actually allow you to increase your chances of getting that. So it's highly advisable to buy that as well. So we spent quite a bit of money, 15,000 souls. but it's not nothing that we can't replace in the near future. And with this new ring we're about to get, we're going to be making 20% more souls for the rest of the game.
Thank you kindly.
Alright, so after you spend over 10,000 souls in her shop, you can choose to talk to her.
Take these, if you want them.
And as long as you spend enough souls, bam, you'll get the covetous silver serpent ring +1. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is get that ring on. As you can see, the description says fallen foes yield more souls. So let's go ahead and equip that. Again, it gives you a 20% boost to your souls. The regular covetous silver serpent ring gives you a 10% boost. The +1 ring gives you a 20% boost, and then there's a +2 ring that gives you a 30% boost, but we can't get that until later in the game. Alright, so now that we got that, there's something else we have to quickly do. Go ahead and fast travel back to Majula so you can unlock the blacksmith shop now that we have the key. Go ahead and open up the door. Inside you'll find a chest. So go ahead and open that up to get the short bow, which should be your first bow in the game unless you're using a bandit class. So that's very useful. We can now use bows. Alright. So if you want, you can actually take out the ogres now that you have a bow, but first you might want to get some arrows. So we're going to have to give old Ogres enough time to set up shop inside of his armory or his smithery, whatever. So let's go ahead and travel back to the Forest of the Fallen Giants, because we're about to get a very, very overpowered sword early on in the game. So head back to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. Alright. Back in the Forest of the Fallen Giants, we're going to want to head back in the direction we came. And instead of heading back down the ladder, if you look over the edge of the cliff here, you'll see that there's a wooden platform you can drop to below. So let's go ahead and drop down here now. And then drop down again, but be careful because there's some undead beneath you. Go ahead and take them out and follow this wooden platform all the way down, and at the end you're gonna have to make a sprint jump to the next platform where you can find a corpse. Go ahead and loot that for a human effigy, then carefully drop down again. And take out the undead below you. I'm gonna have to use a human effigy soon. Alright, so descend the ramp and you'll find a tree. Now if you walk carefully along this tree, you'll find another corpse that you can loot for a soul of a lost undead and a torch. Now be very careful whenever you head off of this tree, because there is a bunch of enemies down here. you're going to want to take it nice and slow and take them out one at a time, or else they might overwhelm you. Alright, so once you've cleared out all the enemies, if you backtrack a little bit, there'll be a small tunnel. Now don't enter the tunnel that's on fire just yet. Instead, you're going to want to enter the tunnel to the left. And at the end, you'll find a corpse you can loot for a hollow soldier helm. Now once you got that, you can go ahead and enter the fire tunnel. Go ahead and loot the corpse along the way for a soul of a proud knight, which will give you 2,000 souls when you use it. Now before going any further in the tunnel, go ahead and exit the tunnel, because as soon as you enter that tunnel, 2 knights are going to ambush you from behind. So quickly run in, pick up the soul of a proud knight from the corpse in the middle, and then run out and take care of the knights. Now you need to be very careful here, because there's a big salamander-like enemy that spits fireballs at you. So there's a door inside this tunnel that leads to a fire longsword, which is a very overpowered sword that can easily breeze you through the first areas of the game. Now the door is on the left hand side, so what you're going to want to do is hurry up and run, hugging the left hand wall. And once you find the door, quickly open it and then roll inside. Now if you open the door just before the lizard shoots fireballs at you, you'll be temporarily invincible because you're opening up the door, and this will prevent you from taking any damage. If you're too late, you'll get hit by the fireball and take damage. So once you've opened up the door, quickly roll inside to find a chest. Go ahead and open up that chest for the fire longsword. Now this sword is awesome. It's my favorite starting sword because it does 78 base damage and 78 fire damage. So it's pretty much all the way around better than the Heed Knight Sword, except for the Heed Knight Sword could be useful in some situations because it does lightning damage, and some bosses are weak to lightning. But for the majority of the fights, the Fire Longsword definitely beats it. And also the swinging animation for the Fire Longsword is awesome. I'll quickly show you. It's a slash instead of like a whirl or whatever it is. So once you have the Fire Longsword in hand, go ahead and run out. Back to the wide open area. This time turn left and run all the way up as far as you can to find a corpse you can loot for 3 life gems. Then go ahead and climb the nearby ladder. And you'll be back on the wooden platform above. So follow it until you can enter a hole in the wall. This will lead you out back to where we previously came to the Cardinal Tower in the first place. So as you can see, that Fire Longsword really cuts through enemies, and I almost died there. But yeah, that Fire Longsword really cuts through the enemies, and it does decent damage. I almost died again. But they're not gonna get me today. I'm leaving with this fire longsword. Alright, so once we got the fire longsword, that's a very great sword. I would highly suggest to equip it and start using it now if you're a melee character. Go ahead and pop a human effigy if you're hollowed. Now let's go ahead and travel back to Majula, because the blacksmith should have set his shop up by now. So we can now buy arrows and upgrade our fire longsword if you want. The good thing about the fire longsword is it upgrades with regular titanite, so you can increase it to plus 10 for maximum damage. But for now, we're only gonna be able to get it up to like a plus 3 or so.
You, stand back. This is dangerous work. The name's Lenigrast, just a simple blacksmith. And you are, another useless traveler. A man ought to labor with his feet planted firmly in the earth. Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds. Oh, what does it matter? Go on, show me what you've got. Your equipment, let me have a look, but do it quick.
Alright, so you should now be able to talk to the blacksmith Leningrast, and he'll now be able to repair your items and reinforce your items. You can also buy some items from him, so if you want, check out his wares. He's got a longsword, a broadsword, a curved sword, and an estoc. He's got a pretty good variation of weapons, so if you're still using one of the starting weapons and you haven't got the fire longsword or the heat knight sword, you can actually buy something from him. But for now, the fire longsword is way better than any of that stuff. More importantly though, he sells arrows. So let's go ahead and stock up on a good amount of arrows. Actually, let's buy about 120 arrows. That way we're good and we don't have to worry about coming back here for a little while and buying arrows. 120 wood arrows should be alright. He also sells repair powder for repairing your equipment. And more importantly, he sells titanite shards so you can upgrade your weapons or armor. So you should have already found one titanite shard. So let's go ahead and buy 3 more. Now let's go ahead and reinforce that fire longsword we just picked up. Bring it up to a plus 1 and a plus 2. And if you can, buy some more titanite shards. Oh, we need another titanite shard.
I'll be around.
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and use these souls real quick. Also, you can use that soul of a proud knight you picked up earlier. It'll give you 2,000 souls in case you want to
What? You again?
upgrade your weapon further. Alright, so you should be able to get the Fire Longsword all the way up to +3, which will give you 102 base damage and 102 fire damage. This should get you good enough to take care of anything in the Forest of the Fallen Giants with ease. So unfortunately we can't go past +3 because we now need large Titanite shards. And unfortunately the Blacksmith does not sell that. We're going to have to get it somewhere else.
I'll be around.
Alright, so now that we have an upgraded sword, Fire Longsword +3, we are good to go. This weapon will definitely help us out. And also, now that we have a bow, we can head back to the Ogres that we encountered at the beginning of the game, but we could never do anything about because we didn't have the right weapons or crossbows or spells or whatever. So in order to use this bow, we're going to have to increase our dexterity.
Seek lest.
We're going to have to bring our dexterity up to 12. Luckily it's at 10, so we can level up 2 more times. There we go. Now that we have our dexterity at 12, we should easily be able to use this short bow. Also, make sure to equip some arrows, or else you won't be able to draw your bow back. Well, you will, but you won't be able to fire anything. Alright, so let's go ahead and head back to Things Betwixt so we can take care of the ogres. Alright, so you may have already taken out the ogres depending on what class you started off with. If you started off with a sorcerer or a cleric or a bandit, then you probably already had the ranged attacks to take these guys out. If not, if you did, then you can go ahead and just skip this part and head to the next video. But if not, I'm going to quickly show you guys how to take advantage of the ranged weapons. So the first ogre we're going to take out is the one where we got the gold pine resin item. So go ahead and make your way back across that bridge where we first started off. Here you'll find the ogre. So what you're going to want to do is lure him back. Watch out for his lunging attack, because if he gets a hold of you, it's a one-hit kill. So pretty much just lure him back right here, and then you can zoom in with the bow and just keep shooting him. And he'll walk right up to you, but he won't be able to actually get through the hole, so you can just sit here and pound him with arrows. A pretty cheap tactic, I know. If you want, you can get in there with your Fire Longsword and show him what you got. The Fire Longsword should be good enough to take him out in a couple swings. Just make sure that he doesn't get a hold of you. I don't want to die, so I'm playing it safe. And there he goes. The first ogre falls over and gives you 1,200 souls. He also drops the stone ring, so we can go ahead and equip that. The stone ring gives you additional reduction of enemy pose, allowing you to hit through enemy armor. Very useful. Alright, so once you've killed the first ogre, Let's go ahead and take out the other two. Now the other two are located further into things betwixt. So you're going to want to enter the things betwixt area and head over the shortcut tree branch that we pushed over earlier to create a shortcut back to the bonfire. Out by the water you'll find the second ogre. Now you need to be very careful because there's actually another ogre lurking right around this corner. And let's see, if we get close you can kind of see him. There he is. You can see his outline over there just around the corner. Now he's meant to ambush you whenever you go and try to attack that ogre, but we're not going to let that happen. Instead, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're pretty far back, because even if you're standing right here and you try to start sniping him, he can still come and get you. So make sure you back up a little bit. Now whenever he comes up, a good trick to use is you can actually go in this hole here and you can just keep attacking him right here. So again, you can use these holes to your advantage because they cannot get inside with you. So you can just sit there and shoot arrows at them all day long until they die. Just make sure you have enough arrows to take them out. At the minimum dexterity to wield the bow, which is 12, you're probably going to use about 60 to 80 arrows. So hopefully you stocked up on wooden arrows. If you have the iron arrows, you will be doing a lot more damage. But the iron arrows cost a whole lot more. And honestly, it's really not worth wasting the souls on. Especially because the iron arrows are a limited amount in stock. So you're going to want to save those iron arrows for something tougher than these guys, because they're limited in stock, where the wooden arrows are unlimited, so you can just buy as many as you want. This might take a little while because we got to take these guys out, and these big guys have a lot of HP. There goes one of them for 1,200. Alright, so this guy's almost done for. One more shot, straight to the gut for another 1,200 souls. That should bring you up a good amount of souls, 3,600 altogether after killing all three of them. Now if you want, you can head down here and see if there's any items. I don't think there's anything down here. Nah, there's definitely nothing down here worth grabbing. There is a coffin down here though. If you want to change your gender, you can sleep in the coffin and it'll change your gender. For example, if you're a male, you can change into a female. I don't know why you would want to do that, but if you do want to, the coffin's there. Alright, so now that we have actually taken out the the three ogres, we can actually return to the firekeeper's hut and talk to the handmaid to receive a weapon. It's not that good, I'll just give you guys a heads up, but hey, at least it's something for taking out the ogres, or the monsters, whatever. Cyclops is what I call them.
You have proven yourself to the forest. We have little to offer, except perhaps these.
And with that, you will get the handmaid's ladle.
May they bring fortune to your journey in some small way. My name is Millibeth. The old women were once fire keepers. I am here to look after them. It is what my mother did, and her mother before her, and so on. The old women were keepers of the fire. But now, the fire shows signs of fading, and the kingdom is beset by hollows.
Alright. So if you want, you can talk to the firekeepers.
Determined as ever, I see.
But they won't get you anything special. They just give you a little bit of information of what's going on.
Over again?
Now, also, if you have this thing called a soul vessel, you can choose to reallocate all your skill points that you've earned from leveling up. It's not that useful now because we're still at a low level, but once you've reached a much higher level, say you make it to level 100 and you want to reassign your stats. So for example, say you went straight into all melee into dexterity, and you wanted to change that dexterity into strength because your dexterity weapons weren't doing enough damage. So you wanted to trade all your dexterity into strength. Say you have 50 dexterity and it's just not working for you, you want to try something else. If you have this thing called a soul vessel, you can come here and reassign all your skill points that you got from leveling up. So you can take that 50 dexterity and turn it into 50 strength, or 50 intelligence, 50 faith, whatever you want. So just remember that for when you get a soul vessel.
No, of course not. Now go along then.
Alright, so that's all we can do here. Let's go ahead and travel back to Majula so that we can level up a little bit. Alright.
Bearer of the curse, seek lest this...
Actually, that's all the time we have for. I didn't realize that this video is already 32 minutes long. 33 minutes long, I'm sorry. So we're going to take care of the rest of the stuff on the next episode. Make sure to check out the next episode because we're also going to be heading over to a new area. And yeah, we're going to be taking care of some very important stuff. So I'll see you guys next time on the next episode of Dark Souls 2. Also, enjoy your new fire longsword, the new Drake sword of Dark Souls 2.